familiar sight. All right, we're doing this again. I've already changed this part multiple times. I'm doing the rear mount again, this time from SXTH Element. They sent me one, and I want to test it out. Yes. Familiar sights. Getting old. All right, so I've been here before, right? I'm putting some boxes down, some stuff. Mic is kind of dangling around, whatever. Probably sounds better too than it being right under my beard. I don't know how my beard looks. It could not look combed and stuff because I was just under the car. But anyways, let me try to make myself presentable. My mother raised me correctly. Now, there is a part that I have changed on this car a number of times. Like this might be like number 4 or 5. And I've recorded this video before. This isn't the first time I'm doing this, right? The last time I did this video, I was putting on a part, testing it with 2 companies, GGP and SXTH Element. Before I was running this, right? This is GGP's rear pitch mount, right? Now, when I first got this, I was blazing a trail by talking to a friend of mine, Chris, who broke down that this was a part made for the E210 chassis for the Corolla hatchback, not the GR Corolla. Doing some research, talking to some people, found out that pretty much this is the same exact part. It fit exactly the same, did the same thing, got the torque specs it needed, bolted it on. I was running this with an 85A Durometer rated bushing for about 10,000 plus miles. I was closer to 12,000, which is extreme because considering how hard this is or how much this is causes NVH or vibration, most people would have checked out as soon as they started the car. Like they would have started the car and been like, I'm out of here, dog. Not happening, right? So I ran it. I loved it. When you're driving it hard, when you're in the back canyons, back roads, I don't have any canyons near me, back road, country roads, flawless. Feels great. Hard shifts, no engine movement. It's great. It does what it's supposed to do. Obviously, if you race on a racetrack, people have run solid bushings all around the chassis. So those people that are racing are used to this. They don't want any extra movement. However, when you're daily driving the car, you got to kind of marry the two, right? I need performance, comfortability. Am I saying that right? I don't even know. Whatever. Now, I've been testing this out, and I switched it to a different bushing. See, this blue bushing is 60A, right? So the difference here is that it's better than the stock one. I don't have the stock mount near me. The stock, hold on, I do. This is a stock pitch mount. Now, I'm not an engineer. I just know from videos I follow why this stuff was a weak point, and I will just explain that. If you notice, I don't know if mine is necessarily cracked. It might be, or regardless, this has a lot of movement, right? This is a very soft bushing. I think it was the rating on this was like 50A or 55A on that Durometer rating when you're talking about bushings, right? So this allows a lot of movement of the engine when you're shifting hard, back and forth movement. It has very good NVH control because you really can't feel anything. There's nothing extra on the cabin or when you're driving, right? So for the sake of, I want the least amount of NVH, then don't change this. Keep the stock one, right? This is what it came with. I wanted performance. I'm willing to take away some comfort. I'm willing to take away some road noise. I'm willing to add it in for the sake of performance. Similar to when you get coilovers. Coilovers are going to add some NVH, some noise, vibration, harshness, if you don't know what that acronym means. And it's going to give you performance. So you got to make your bed how you want to make it, right? So I was running this one. I switched the bushing out. The one that I had that's 85A is black. They have separate bushings, 60A, 70, 85. I'm running the 60A now just to hear the difference, right? I've had this on the car. It's been, I would say, a little over 5,000 miles that I've had this new bushing on there just to feel the difference. It's noticeable, right? Immediately. You start the car, it's no vibrations, right? Doesn't look like it's T-Rex following me in Jurassic Park when they had the cup of water in there. They started the car. Yeah, exactly. That's what it looks like. A lot of vibrations happening when you're running the 85A. I switched to 60A, cooled everything out, still gave me the performance. But here's the funny thing, right? This is how life serves you up sometimes. I actually missed the original 85A. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but the performance I got from it with how hard of a bushing it was, even with the vibration, when you started driving this GR Corolla hard, I mean, it felt amazing. So I've been wanting to try to find the happy medium, right? I went all the way to one extreme, I went to the other extreme. I guess I'm better off in the middle, probably. That's where 6 Element comes in. I reached out to them one day and they made a post on Instagram, right? They were like, we're testing out a new part. And I looked at the part and I said, hey, I'm pretty familiar with the rear pitch mount on this car because I changed it about 3 times, right? Just swapping parts out. So I reached out to them and said, hey, I would like to compare what you guys are doing to what is already out on the industry. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, what's the difference if it's just a dual meter rating? We ain't need this whole video. You could have put it on and went home and made yourself a sandwich. Now, of course, I could have done that, but what's the fun of content creation if I don't decide when I want to create it, all right? You're here for the journey. Now, remember, like and subscribe if you're made it this far in the video. Now, here's where the difference comes into play for 6 Element. I'm going to wrap this up, and we're going to go put it on, and we're going to go take a drive, and I'm going to talk to y'all again. Maybe I talk to y'all while I'm in the car. I don't know yet. 6 Element made their bushing with bonded rubber. What I have learned, what I have read, is that bonded rubber gives you the same benefits of the normal polyurethane, which is on this one, right here. That's the blue one. Regular bonded rubber, I believe, is what the OEM one used to control NVH, vibration, harshness, noise, better than the polyurethane, but also give you the performance of a higher rated bushing. So we are trying to have our cake, eat it too, with some extra frosting on the side. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. So 6 Element sent me one. I talked to them. They said this particular one, as you can see, they make very nice stuff. Matter of fact, if you're looking for a GR Corolla part, 6 Element is probably one of the better companies out there for stuff that they're making. There's a variety of companies, JDM companies, 6 Element, they're homegrown, USA made. They make good stuff. Now, they sent me this part. This is their rear pitch mount. Aluminum, but the bushing is the main part here. So, the bonded rubber that they have here is rated at 70, 75A. That's on the higher side, right? Some people might want just 70. They mentioned it to me saying it's a little bit higher than maybe what they would want to put out for the public. So they're probably going to try to find their way somewhere at 70A. I like the fact that it's about 10 under what I used to have, or still a little bit higher, and I'm willing to take that sacrifice for the NVH. So just remember that. The higher rating you go, the more vibrations that you're going to feel when you start this car, but the higher performance you get for the movement of the engine when you're hard shifting, and those things will be more directly connected, okay? Thank you. Now, I'm going to put this on. All right, I said I'd give you a little picture of this thing on the car, so here we are. Quick work, not a big deal, doesn't take that long. That's the main bracket. You can look you can kind of see the 6 Element thing right there on the side, but it goes in nice and smooth, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So we're gonna go do a test drive. That's how you. All right, we're just gonna get this cracking. All right, going for a little bit of a drive. I said I'll try to do a drive for you guys, and you know, I kept my promise. I don't know how it's gonna necessarily look. Why is my mirror so crooked? Like, what happened? Close the garage, you know. We're gonna go. Oh yeah, definitely more vibrations. I'm not mad at it though. But there's definitely more. Feels very similar to what I had previously. Now, just so y'all know, there is a break-in period with any of these type of bushings, right? They're not like, they get a certain amount of miles and they'll start breaking themselves in, right? I'm feeling how this feels compared to what I had on the 85A one. And I will say this. Obviously, it has more than the previous one I had, which was 60A. And listen, if the camera's shaking, well, you know why. Now, this doesn't feel as aggressive as the 85A bushing. I will say that without a doubt. This does have those vibrations, but I think I might have found my medium ground that I like, which is a little bit of more NVH, a little bit more harshness, but more performance. So it's like a medium between it. And I know that because where you get the hardest amount of NVH, or where you'll see it the most, is very low speed. So when you're taking off, like I just did first gear, going through my neighborhood, when you're in a parking lot and you're backing up, that's where you're going to feel the most of it, because you're doing such a low speed and it's going to exaggerate, well, maybe not exaggerate, it's going to exasperate the, NVH that you're feeling, right? If I'm using the right word. If I'm using the wrong word, but you understand the gist of what I'm saying. So we're going to go for this quick little drive. Things that you'll notice and why it matters the most is when you're doing fast shifting. Fast shifts now don't have a lot of engine movement. If you're running the IMT like I do, even though, some people don't, or if you're gonna, do it yourself, that is where you definitely gonna feel some movement, because you're doing a lot of engine braking. And when you feel this with this type of bushing, with any of these mounts, it could be this one, it can be GGP, it can be 6 Element, it can be the gentleman I mentioned on the Facebook group, Racer X. Any one of these type of mounts are going to reduce the movement, so that when you're doing fast, hard shifting, it's more direct. Some people say, I haven't been on a racetrack, but I know that I've read that it will reduce miss shifts, because you don't get the transmission engine movement, you get straight to the gear. Yeah, the fast shifts feel great. Nice directness, no sloppiness, just straight to the point. Thing feels nice, smooth. It feels really good. And shout out to 6 Element for making this. So 6 Element, like I said, they sent me one. I've been trying it out. Did a long drive. I only gave you a small portion of that drive. I mean, I drove for like 30, 45 minutes. I wasn't about to cut and paste that whole entire thing because the video is too shaky. And listen, come next year, come the next season of CarQuicks, my podcast, my videos, I'm gonna get a mount that has the proper gimbal and stabilization so that I can do more POV drives. I have those in mind. But as far as the pitch mount goes, so what 6 Element gave me falls right in line from my short, brief time, because like I've said, I've driven 10,000 miles on 85A rated bushing. I've driven about over 5,000 with the 60A, so I'm pretty well versed on what is needed. I have a good amount of experience doing this as far as how this part runs and how to deal with it. Now, there will be more NVH if you get anything over the stock rear pitch mount. So if you don't mind that, if you're like, listen, CarQuicks, give me the performance, buddy, I'm willing to take the extra noise, vibration, and harshness, then go for it. 60A is gonna feel as close to stock with added performance benefits than any of the other ratings. So as you move up, the NVH moves up with you. It's all right in line. If you want to go to the top and say, forget that all comfort things, this is about business, performance, this is a rally car for the street, I want all the performance, and jump to the top, you're going to get all the NVH. You're definitely going to feel it when you're in like first gear, going into reverse, to low speed in the parking lot, coming out your driveway. But then as you get up to speed, if you're really driving it hard, it's going to have barely any movement. You're going to feel the shifts more direct, more right into gear. Then if you drop it down into the middle, like where I'm at now, 6 Elements bushing with their rubber, bonded rubber, and maybe it's placebo. Maybe I'm just making this up, or not making it up, but maybe I don't feel that maybe I feel the benefits because I've been in so many other ones, okay? That's what I'm trying to say, how to get it out. The bonded rubber option that they're using, it feels softer in the sense of the NVH that I'm receiving back from the feedback I'm getting, and it's giving me the performance of the higher rated like bushing that I had in the GGP mount, but without as harsh of a feel as that rating that I was running before, which was like up to 85, which is their top level of rating. So, man, listen, for me, it's like the best of both worlds. I love how the car feels. I love how it drives. So if you're thinking about one of these mounts, if you're saying in your head, I want to get one of these mounts, I want to see how the car feels with this on, this is pretty much me telling you, you're going to gain the performance. You're going to have NVH. How much of it depends on the rating you go for. If you go for 60, you have a little bit more than stock, you gain a little bit more performance over stock. If you go in the middle like I am, 75A, you gain a very moderate amount of NVH, but you gain a very good, moderate, a little bit above for performance, especially if you're thinking about 6 Element's bonded rubber version as opposed to the polyurethane. That is the main difference between these. The rubber that they're using is gonna negate some of those vibrations. And some people that are using a harder polyurethane or polymer, that's going to have a difference. It's just going to be differences. They're going to be small. Sometimes you won't feel the difference. Sometimes you only will feel the difference if you're like me, where you can run one back to back and feel how they change. If you can't, then you'll just know that from your stock one, from the stock GR Corolla Rear Pitch mount, if you go to change it, you're going to increase the NVH that you feel, but you're going to increase the performance. Now, if you jump to the top, 85A is going to be harsh. You're going to have more than moderate. You're going to have a very large amount of NVH increase as well as performance. It's kind of proportional. I will say this though, when you jump to 85A, from my experience, my amount of driving that I've been doing, the performance jump was not as great as the NVH jump, right? I feel like the jump between 60 and 70, 75A is substantial. I think the jump to 85A is probably that very finite 10% that you're only going to feel maybe if you're at very high amount of driving hard, back canyon, country roads, racetrack, where you're really pushing it, that you're going to get that added benefit. If you ask me, which one would I stick with? I'm sticking with 6 Element right now. The 75A, 70A is the perfect balance for me. If you're driving it on the street, if you're street driving and you just want performance, stick with the 75A, stick with the 70A. Do not go any further. Now, if you're racing on the track, go all the way. Some people, if they're racing on the track and they're not going to daily drive the car, everything that they need for performance is paramount. So jump to the top. Don't worry about the NVH and the comfort because you don't care about that. You want to go all the way to the top and then rock out. Do that, be cool, have fun. I'm enjoying it. Shout out to 6 Element. I appreciate me being able to work with y'all, get this part. I love how it feels. Now, I will say this. They are probably working, and I know they are because they mentioned in the email, they're going to work to make one with a lower rating because what they want to sell is probably somewhere between like 60, 65 and not 70, 75. And I understand that because most people are daily driving these cars, and it's going to be a hard lesson if they go for one and it's too much NVH. They want to return the part, and it goes back and forth. The Cusco one that they make for this car, it was known to be rough. People are like, it's too hard, it's too rough. Now, some people, they don't mind. But if you're selling it for the mass public and you're trying to sell units and trying to give people good performance, good comfort, good drivability, then I understand sticking in the 60, 65A. For me personally, 75A rated, the way this feels, mwah, chef's kiss, excellent, 6 Element, good looking, I'm out.